Hey, welcome. So, if you own a commercial property, you know that leasing it out is one of the biggest things you'll ever handle. I mean, the moves you make right now can literally define your investment for the next decade. So, let's dive in and break down exactly how to get it right.
All right, so you've got a commercial space, you're ready to find a tenant. You might be thinking, how hard can this be, really? I'll just put a sign in the window. But the truth is, leasing a commercial property is a high stakes game. It's way more complex than most people realize.
Okay, first things first. We have to get one thing straight. Commercial leasing plays by a totally different set of rules than residential leasing. Any assumptions you have from, say, renting out a condo, they just don't apply here. Not at all.
And the difference in scale here is just staggering. A residential lease is usually a standard one-year agreement, pretty straightforward. A commercial lease, on the other hand, is this deeply complex, heavily negotiated contract that can lock you in for 3, 5, sometimes even 10 years. We're not just talking about monthly rent anymore. We're talking about decisions that shape your property's value for the next decade. So let's be really clear about what's on the line for you. The financial impact is huge. I mean, if you misprice your lease just a little bit, you could be losing out on tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. The legal exposure is very real. A weak contract can leave you on the hook for all sorts of expensive disputes. And honestly, the time and effort it takes to market the property, screen tenants, and negotiate terms, it's basically a full-time job.
And that brings us to this big temptation for a lot of property owners, doing it all yourself to try and save on a commission fee. But as we're about to see, going the DIY route is just riddled with these hidden risks that can end up costing you so much more than any fee.
These are the classic traps people fall into. Owners misprice the space all the time, either way too high so it sits empty for months, or way too low, and they leave a ton of money on the table. Without access to professional networks, that vacancy period just stretches on, bleeding cash every single day. Or worse, you end up with a tenant who can't pay, all because you signed a generic lease you found online that left you completely unprotected. Let me give you a real-world example. There was an owner who leased out his warehouse directly. He skipped the deep financial screening to save time, while the tenant defaulted just 6 months in. The final cost? A staggering $120,000 in lost rent and legal fees. Ouch. Now, let's flip that coin. Here's another owner who was about to price their property based on, just a gut feeling. A broker came in, used real-time market data to reposition the rent, and the result was nearly $160,000 in additional revenue over the life of the lease. That, right there, is the power of expert market knowledge. And what about time? Because every single month your property is empty, that's income you can never get back. In one case, a property with just a simple sign in the window sat vacant for 8 long months. Once a broker was hired, their marketing machine and network got the space leased in just 45 days. The difference is just night and day.
So, how do you avoid all these pitfalls and actually get those better outcomes? Well, the answer is in the broker's playbook. It's a professional, strategic process that's designed not just to fill a space, but to protect and maximize your entire investment.
I absolutely love this quote because it completely reframes how you should be thinking about this. Hiring a professional broker isn't a cost you should try to avoid. It's an investment that pays for itself over and over again through better returns, less downtime, and, maybe most importantly, peace of mind. You see, the process is systematic. It all starts with preparing and pricing the property correctly, based on hard data, not guesswork. Then, it's about massive marketing and exposure through exclusive databases and networks you can't access on your own. After that, it's rigorous tenant screening, expert negotiation on every single clause, and finally, support all the way through execution and beyond.
This is how a broker adds serious value at every single step. They bring the market knowledge to get the price rate from day one. They have the marketing reach to find the best tenants, and fast. They bring the negotiation muscle to protect your interests, and they mitigate your risk to safeguard your asset for the long haul.
Now, all of this value, it gets turbocharged when you work with a true local expert. I mean, general market knowledge is one thing, but in a unique area like the San Gabriel Valley, you need someone who lives and breathes the local economy and the community. That's a huge advantage, and it's where a firm like Ciba Real Estate and its principal, Alfredo Mejia, really shine. And look, this commitment isn't something new. Alfredo Mejia started his career right here in the San Gabriel Valley way back in 2002. He founded Ciber Real Estate just 2 years later, in 2004. So for more than 2 decades, they've been dedicated to serving this specific community, building this deep well of trust and local knowledge that's just invaluable.
Their philosophy is actually pretty simple, but it's so powerful. They believe that professional service is at its best when it's also personal. For them, it's not just about closing a deal. It's about taking the time to truly understand a client's specific needs so they can best protect their interests. And these aren't just words on a slide. Just look at Alfredo's deep involvement in the community. From serving on the board of the Monrovia Chamber of Commerce, to being past president of the Kiwanis Club, to co-founding the Pasadena Latino Business Association, his roots in the San Gabriel Valley run deep. He doesn't just work here, he's part of the very fabric of this community. This quote just perfectly captures the role of a true professional like Alfredo. It's not about being a middleman who just connects a landlord and a tenant. No. They are your trusted advisor, your fierce advocate fighting for you in negotiations, and your long-term strategist, making sure every single decision aligns with your goals. So, in the end, it really just boils down to this simple choice. You can go it alone and accept all the risks, the long vacancies, the legal exposure, the money left on the table. Or you can hire a pro and get the expertise, the efficiency, and the protection that your investment truly deserves. And that really leaves us with one final thought. After seeing all the potential disasters and the immense value an expert brings to the table, the real question isn't whether you can afford to hire a professional, it's can you really afford the risk of not having one in your corner?